Julyan, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm good. I'm very good indeed. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. How did we get started talking about doing this? I forget. Did I reached out to you,
Yeah,
um, and
August, September, maybe.
yeah. So I think what we should probably start with is like bio stuff. Like we have a number of guys from the UK in the group, and it's always interesting getting the kind of the Brit or UK take on guitar stuff. Like it's like everything. It's like the same except just slightly different. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not sneakers, it's trainers. It's a lot of the same stuff, but then there's just these little differences that are always fascinating. So I kind of wonder like when I came up, I walked into a guy's shop and saw him repairing guitars, and I had no idea it was a thing. And I was like, "This is a thing." And he's like, "It's a thing." And I was like, "Can you show me the thing?" And he's like, "I can show you the thing. It's called an apprenticeship." And
Brilliant.
but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't clear that it was a thing. How did you get into this? Was it because I believe we're probably roughly the same age? Was it a thing over there, or was it?
No, so I mean, you got to understand, guys, that where I live in the UK is the very, very, very bottom left corner. I'm
Hmm.
right at the end, and a little town called Penzance in the county of Cornwall, and we're basically surrounded by sea, and we're bloody miles from bloody everywhere. Right? It's like if you want to go to London, it's 6 hours. If you want to go to Cardiff in Wales, it's 4 hours. You know, anything's got to be a trip. Anything's a long trip, and so there's you go back to when I started playing when I was 12, which I'm now 55. Um, and there was one guy who repaired guitars and made guitars locally, and he's still going. And I was playing from the age of 12, 13 years of age, and straight away, probably like most of us, we picked the guitar up and it spoke to us. We felt it, and this was me. This is what I had to do. This is the reason I was on the planet. And even though I was 12, 13, and that was my teen thing, and obviously then girls came along and life came along and blah 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 blah. And I was actually working on a building site with my father, and my dad was what we call a mason, which is basically a builder. And I left school, 16 years of age, 1985. I left school on the Friday, and I started work on the building site with my dad on the Monday. And within a few years, I was like, "Ugh, we have a lot of bad weather here." So if you can appreciate, the weather moves east from you guys over the pond, and when it hits the UK, it usually hits us first, whether it's good or bad. Then it's usually bad, and then it spreads up over the rest of the country. So we get a lot of heavy rain showers, and I was hating this work in the rain out on a roof and nice in the summertime, and I was always thinking, what could I do with the guitar? I wanted to be the famous rock star that we probably all had boyhood, childhood dreams of. And then suddenly, my dad said, "No money in guitars, boy." And I was thinking, well, there's got to be. I could teach. You can get good money for teaching guitar, right? Especially if you have a lot of lessons a day and you commit yourself and you're going to build up. And so I was always thinking about that. And it was probably when I was 23, 24 years of age. I did like a business course you can do here in the UK, um, and there's no luthier courses. Okay, so over here there are now, but back in the 80s there was maybe two. One cost a lot of money because it was private, couldn't afford that, and the other one was probably it was probably the Royal Cornwall, sorry, the Royal College of Furniture Making in London somewhere, and that wasn't accessible to me, and I wasn't into moving away, and I don't know. I spent a lot of my early 20s just bombing around on the beach and learning to repair my guitar and take it apart, and like we all did. And then one day it was like, did this business course, and 1992, I thought, well, I'm going to start fixing guitars, and did all the work on my own and crappy old things you'd find, and then started to do it on people's. And at gigs with my friends, they'd always ask me. I was the guy that had to restring their guitars because I was the one that made them stay in tune, apparently, and would restring neatly or whatever. And one day I realized, bloody hell, there's a niche market here. There's only one guy doing it. He was the guy that's still doing it, called Kith, Kif. And and I thought, well, he's more of a maker. He makes a lot of guitars, but he does nothing traditionally. Bless him. He does it his own way. There's lots of screws and bolt-ons and super glue involved. A bit too much for my liking. I shouldn't be coming across as saying he's wrong, because no one's right or wrong. It's just I prefer tradition. And I thought, well, I could be better than that. And I never learned anywhere, so I never went anywhere to learn. So I fell into this by taking mine apart. I started the business primarily teaching guitar to youngsters and then anybody, and dabbling in setting up and etc. and buying books. And then you talk in the late 90s, along comes the internet over here, and it was actually Dan Earlywine who was one of my big influences, Frank Ford, etc. Some of you guys that are there now, just seeing your names is pretty cool. And obviously with Stumac, buying their tools and learning how to use the tool, and just using common sense and having, I guess, basic skills. But the funny thing is, which people laugh at, I wasn't very academic at school. I was useless. I was the class clown. I used to muck around. I used to have a laugh, and I never used to take it too seriously. But I left with 1 O level, which is like your main grade, and that was in art. And in that exam, I think I drew a flying V with the neck dismantled. I think that was the title you had to draw, dismantled. And I drew a guitar with the neck off and the strings waving around, and I ended up got an O level, and I passed woodwork and I passed metalwork. It was like, right, okay. Then I went on a building site, obviously, and it was like, okay, so I'm going to be using my hands all my life. Let's get good at it. And you evolved, didn't you? So it went on, and I made a few mistakes, like we all do, and it just got better on year. So even though I said we're surrounded by sea here, that basically meaning there's not a lot of people. But luckily in my neck of the woods and the whole of the UK, playing the guitar is a massive thing, just like it probably is anywhere. And there are a lot of guitar players, thankfully. And luckily, I guess, I've built up a reputation, and that got all good. And I just keep plodding on, and it's working. It's paid my bills for the last 20 odd years, and I don't have to go on a building site. That's win-win.
Yeah, I definitely got into it when I looked at it, and I was like, oh boy, this is not going to destroy my body. Is like the hard labor stuff, like in addition to it not appealing to me from a just a aesthetic standpoint, I was just like, I did it as a young man, and I could just tell, like, doing this when you're 40 or 50, boy, it's
tough.
It's a tough way. So where you're at, is that like a tourist destination? Do you have like a lot of like people in the entertainment business, like entertaining tourists and stuff there?
Yeah, I guess we do. I mean, obviously that's seasonal. So in our summer months, you're talking probably from April up until October is when our season is, and anyone playing in a band will be busy then. We have lots and lots and lots of towns, and hundreds of places you'd be playing, so it gets really, really popular. Yeah, and it's the southwest of England is known as the Riviera. So you've got the Cornish Riviera, where we are, Cornwall, Cornish. You've got the Devon Riviera, so you've got places like Torquay and Exeter. You've got places near me like St Ives. St Ives is a hot spot. a pretty place. I mean, if any of you guys saw it, you'd just be wowed. Like, it's just so beautiful, picturesque, blue seas, lots of surf, perfect for the holiday maker, and people flock here because from all over the UK because it's one of the main holiday destinations. I guess the further north you go, if you end up in Scotland, it's colder there. Those guys will have helicopters going right over.
So do touring bands, are they coming there too? Like is that part of like a circuit for bands in the UK or
Yeah, more of the up and coming ones, you know. So there's not so much a circuit here anymore than that. All bands play the same venue anymore. They used to be in the 70s and 80s. That one's gone. But further up from us in Devon and beyond is probably more where that circuit is. So where we are in Cornwall, we're quite starved of all the talent. And obviously it comes down, but not so much as the rest of the country.
Mhm. Is that just like did somebody retire or die that was part of the making sure that was coming down or
It's just Cornish evolution. It goes backwards sometimes.
yeah.
Doesn't always go forward.
I come from a place like that. I can relate to that. Like
Yeah,
um so so
change.
yeah, the it's impossible to like it's even impossible for me to remember what it was like pre-internet, like it was just such a different lifestyle. So all of that, like, kind of the tearing stuff apart. And what's interesting about the internet too, what people forget is like it wasn't immediately useful for guitar repair stuff either. Like Frank Ford's frets com was probably one of the early ones.
Yeah,
But when you typed in, you know, just regular what we consider, take for granted guitar repair queries, like the results were not robust until probably like 2007 or 8 or 9
yeah.
even. So
It's like Wikipedia, isn't it? Everything evolved.
yeah. But so did how is it, because you've been in the same place for all those years, like, and like I always tell young people, like, don't start out Lutheran in the town that you want to live in forever because you need to move away from your mistakes, kind of like pack up your tent and go to the next town after you get to
All
this.
those people that hate you. Oh, he did my guitar, and I would never go back to him. Who hasn't made a bloody mistake?
I know, but
But,
you're surviving in the same environment, and that must show like some level of like at least ability to recognize a mistake and fix it or something like that. Do you have like customers that you've had from the very beginning? And
oh yeah, yeah. Do you know? Funnily enough, I had Keith in this guy Keith, and he's 80 now. He's just turned 80 years old, and I think he was one of the very first electric guitars I ever. I can't remember what I did. I probably just replaced a set of tuners and restrung it and made it play better. But he came in twice in the last fortnight, and he always reminds me I was there at the very beginning. And then I
uh
taught his son because I did teach a lot. I don't read music. I did it my own way. I was a bit of a maverick, but I made friends with the children. I was teaching primarily kids, and I'd always make sure I'd make them laugh and have fun and make it fun, make learning fun. And a few have gone on to big things, thankfully. So, yeah, strange, isn't it?
so one of the things that I think is interesting, you know here in America, we come up with Fenders and Gibsons and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm looking, and behind you, I mean, it kind of looks like is that a Burns behind you? What
Oh,
is
well,
the
very close. That's very close. I thought you'd pick up on that. So that is a Shergold Masquerader
uh
uh, from the 70s, and bolt on, lots of switches, far too many
yeah.
switches, too much choice, and actually belongs to my stepdaughter's grandfather. And yeah, it's very Burns like. I don't know the history. Perhaps they were related in some way because it was this similar time. So they would have been in the 60s when they were made
uh
initially, and then this is a 70s model, I think.
So there's kind of a different vocabulary though, right? Like, and must must be like, I mean, do you get a lot of American guitars there, or
Oh
is it,
yeah,
yeah?
yeah. So the story here is from in the UK. So Dave Gilmour
Yes, sir.
from Pink Floyd. So I've done one of Dave's because his sidekick is a guy called Tim Rennick, who's a session player. He lives near me. So I've done quite a few of Floyd's guitars, and uh, Tim Rennick was their session guitarist, and he played with a band called the Sutherland Brothers and Quiver. You know the hit "Sailing" by Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
If you know the song "Sailing," so Tim wrote that, and he sessioned with everyone. You know, Elton John, Kylie, Madonna, here and there. He's retired now, and he lives nearby. So he came by in 2008, and I crapped my pants. And he was my first like celeb. And the story goes that all of those guys back in the 60s, so when the Les Paul came out and the Telecaster and the Stratocaster came out, Gilmour apparently has got serial number 001, isn't he? If you know the folklore, which doesn't mean it was the first one, as we probably know. But I think Cliff Richard of the Shadows bought Hank Marvin's Stratocaster for him. I think the first Strat imported into the UK sometime in the 50s was for Hank Marvin of the Shadows, because we had, just like you said, we had Burns, um, who, looking back now, they're solid guitars. They're probably a little bit overbuilt. Um, but we didn't have anything cool, and we couldn't afford, because we had to import guitars from you guys, and Fenders and Gibsons was so hard to come by, and even like rich, wealthy folk didn't really have the money to import them and pay the fees. You know, we have the import duty and the VAT, the value added tax, and people weren't doing that. So we had a lot of imports from Eastern Europe. So I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, Futurama, uh, or those ones from all the Japanese makers in the 60s and 70s, but they've gone from my head. If we all banded our own names, we'd come up with loads.
You want
But
like Ibanez, or does that get things going, or what do you
yeah,
get?
yeah, not the original Ibanez, but I would say yeah, things like oh man, my brain is dead. Anybody want to chip in with
I heard somebody mention something.
yeah,
Oh, somebody say Hagstrom?
Hagstrom? Yeah, yeah, good one, Swedish. So
Framus,
say it again.
Framus.
Framus. Yeah, I've got one in. I've got a bass, famous bass right behind me.
Of course you
Framus,
do. Everyone
Hags.
does.
Yeah, we've got three behind me. Yeah, it's we never had great, really cool guitars. You know, some of these things that came from Europe, all built in the UK, were I always liken them to like almost the tree trunk with just the bark removed. You know, these
Uh-huh.
necks was it's just wrap your hand around that. Oh, what's this?
Uh-huh.
Imagine when we got Strats and Les Pauls and Tellys and went, flipping heck, shit, this is good. And then obviously they were imported, and we had distributors, and it all opened up. Hendrix came in and showed everyone what to do, and made Clapton a bit upset, and etc. You know, and all of a sudden we had lots of American guitars. And do you know, I reckon out of all my workload in a week on week, month on month, it's mainly American built instruments that I am working on, whether it's setting up a new tailor that's come to the UK and it's, you know, it's come across the pond, it's taken on a lot of moisture, we've got a high action, and a lot of the instruments that come here, because we've got so much humidity, well, not so much humidity, I mean, we're around 45, 50 odd percent, but it's constant. You know, we have a lot of rain, and so a lot of instruments that come in will just need setting up. And I reckon the majority of guitars that I set up are Gibsons, Martins, Fenders, and the ones I restore and bring back to life, or neck resets, or you name it. The same makes, and your Guilds and then your Yamahas, your Ibanez's, your Jacksons, your Sharbles, whoever, whatever, But I think the American, we respect you guys so much from the early beginnings to just the cool period. And thank God. Thank God for you guys.
Do you think that there's manufacturing of guitars in the UK that are taking, now that there's the instruments are there and everybody can examine them, are there anybody in the UK that's taking that information and kind of producing similar guitars? I haven't seen a lot of Burns. I haven't seen a lot of
Yeah,
this stuff, so I don't really know. Just in pictures, I wonder how did they have problems with functionality? Like, did they just kind of not feel right, or
well, perhaps once the American market hit, they sort of struggled, and they really reinvent the wheel. And even today, I mean, Burns, for example, are always releasing the Marquis or the Marvin Hanks signature model back then or whatever. You know what I mean? They never sort of try to evolve and make something look really cool, because they know they probably failed, because to produce something like that on that scale was probably costing so much money. They knew it was a big risk. Whereas all the cool stuff coming in, but I mean, obviously now we have amazing luthiers all over the country, amazing guys that just don't even make guitars, and they just set them up. And I've become, I evolved into making guitars, acoustics, brilliant. Only made a handful, and my workload is just me. There's only enough work really just to keep me paying my bills. Although I'm maybe looking at getting my son an apprenticeship if I can. But there's enough work. So I'm waffling. I sort of forgot what I've.
No, it's all right. Keep waffling.
Yeah. Initial question again.
Oh, the initial question, I guess, was just this kind of the state of UK guitar manufacturing, post there being, because I imagine like the Burns were kind of like, it's like when you hear about people, like they see a picture of an F5 mandolin and that's all they've got to work from. And then they build one based on pictures, and then you get whatever. Then you get somebody that actually gets an F5 mandolin in their hand and they're able to, draft a blueprint and, come up with, what it is that makes this thing work. All of a sudden their stuff goes to the next level. I would imagine Burns was like probably like, hey, electric guitars are what's cracking. What do we know about it? Absolutely nothing. Let's get some pictures and see if we can make something. I could be totally wrong, but it does seem like, after a while you have all the guitars there. Has that affected the quality of work that's being produced there by different?
Well, yeah, I think there's great quality stuff. I mean, I don't think we have factories so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because modern business is farmed out to China or wherever to produce. You may get a luthier that makes his name. Everyone jumps on his guitars. This is great, and then he's like, "Hold on, I can get these made a lot cheaper in China." Blah blah blah. So I think to answer your question, there's we struggled, and I think it's just hard to reinvent. Everyone's bringing out variations of the theme, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So there's just what's happening. There's nothing really new so much. There's more technology happening with parts and accessories and hardware and stuff. But I don't know. I don't think the wheel should be reinvented. But but there's not. I don't think there's enough over here. But there's so many boutique makers in America, and who we all look up to, and so many amazing makes that have big factories. And we would, like, guys in my workshop will come over and say, "Oh, I did the Taylor factory tour, I did the Martin factory tour," and we don't really have that here. I think the biggest one I would say in the UK is probably Loudon.
Yeah.
George Loudon, whose guitars I absolutely adore. I think they're just amazing sounding things.
Oh yeah, we love him here in the States too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is not as, he's probably what, like 3-4 guitars a day, something like that, or so probably like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
small manufacturer, probably a lot like Santa Cruz or Bourgeois or something like that, probably in that.
yeah, sure.
But that's still a significant manufacturing operation.
Yeah,
Certainly probably has like, I don't know, probably 30, 40 employees to do what he does, I would think. But
yeah, yeah. That's,
um cool.
but
So
I probably missed somebody out, and there's lots more. There's obviously lots,
yeah,
But
yeah. But what you're saying though is there's no analog to like Taylor or Martin or something like that. There's not like a full blown guitar factory there.
yeah, there's nothing I can think of in the UK that's like that to that extent, to that level. And because obviously you had the market, you got so many more people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's kind of like first on the scene too. It'd be like, I don't think anybody in the United States is trying to build something similar to a Rolls Royce, for instance. Like it's like, Rolls Royce has already got the Rolls Royce market
Yeah, yeah,
figured out,
yeah. I guess so. And then you can't really reinvent that, can you? You got to do a complete, you've got to take a
Yeah,
risk. You've got hits, yeah.
yeah. Very difficult to do. So let's talk about making a living. You want to talk about TV for a second? Like
Yeah, sure, yeah.
we probably ought to talk about that. Like what what was so you're on the TV there in the United States. We used to be able to see you on Netflix. It's gone away, but
Yeah.
you got called up to do some work entertaining the people.
Yeah, yeah. There's a show in the UK which is very endearing, and the public have taken it to the heart, and it's called The Repair Shop.
Uh-huh.
And I joined 4 years ago, actually 4 years, 2 days ago, funnily enough. And they were going for, I think, two or 3 years, but no, 2 years before I joined. And it's a show all based on, it's got to be this story. It's a TV show, and it's obviously heavily edited to put a certain point across, but it's all about bringing old items that are falling into disrepair, whether they're completely knackered. They've had it, it could be a teddy bear, it could be a clock, it could be a sign on a village hall that everyone, this sign showed them where to go, or it was a local shop, or it could be a book, it could be a table, it could be a pair of boots, it could be a horse saddle. There's right across the spectrum of all different craftspeople brought in their field to fix what they usually do every day to day, but on camera. And I remember seeing it. They do a Christmas special, and I first saw the Christmas special back in 2018. And I remember watching it. My wife was cooking, and I was like, "Oh wow, you got to see this! This is amazing! Look at this show!" I said, "Imagine if I could get on that."
Uh-huh.
And it was just something I said, because I didn't watch the show lots. It was just something I happened to see at Christmas because I wasn't working. And brilliant show, yeah, really, really good. I love the way it's filmed, and it's all about the memories of the thing being fixed coming back. So you imagine you may have uh, a family will come in, maybe just one person of that family, say the daughter comes in, and this was my dad's, I don't know, prayer book. This was my dad's guitar. This was my dad's teddy bear. And I'd like it restored. I'd like it brought back, please. And as soon as they see it restored, all those memories come back. And that's what the repair shop's about. So the people that don't get that, they don't get the emotion side of the story side of the show. A lot of people just want to see the fix because people are fascinated by watching things being fixed. And none of the items that are fixed properly are shown in their entirety. This can't do it because you are filmed for literally hours and hours and hours over days and days fixing something. And obviously we've got to let glues dry, we've got to let lacquers dry, whatever. And it's all edited down into about 12 minutes of TV.
So can I interject a couple questions here?
Yeah.
Do they have a shop that you go to, or are they in your shop filming?
Yeah. Yes, they don't come to you. So they are a production company that's actually owned by Warner Brothers. So they're a big company. They're called Ricochet, and they make quite a few shows here in the UK. But the Repair Shop is their flagship show. It's the one that took off, and we regularly get 6 to 7 million viewers, which is a tenth of the population. So if you put that into perspective with you guys, and obviously we have less channels than you guys, I guess. I know we have everything like Netflix and Amazon Prime, but our terrestrial channels are probably about 20 or 30 channels, and the BBC is the main channel, and it doesn't have any advertising. So you're just going to watch something, there's no adverts, it's great. You can watch you can binge watch stuff, and we're aired on that channel, BBC One. So it's all filmed in a barn in a place called Chichester, and Chichester is about an hour and a half southwest of London, and it's near the Isle of Wight. So if you guys ever see the map of the UK, and down sort of the middle bottom, rather, you'll see a little sort of diamond-shaped island. That's the Isle of Wight. We're not too far from there. And the building itself is in a living museum. I'm guessing you have those. So it's basically buildings that were torn down across the UK for maybe they had a demolition order, a road was being built, they flooded a village to build a dam, maybe, and all those houses were going to be flooded. And if a house was of historical importance and significance, they would take that down and rebuild it in its entirety, originally as it was, at this place in Chichester. And they currently have over 50 buildings, and they have amazingly done mock Tudor Elizabethan buildings, whether it's a blacksmith, a dairy, all these things. And the barn the show is filmed in is a Dutch court barn. And some of the timbers date from the 1700s. It's an absolutely amazing thing. And it's probably about 16, 17 meters long by about 8 or 10 meters wide. And it's a thatched roof, big 12-foot barn doors that open. So it makes a great setting. So it's all filmed in there, and it's filmed over a few months of the year, and everyone is staggered depending on the time they're given, allotted for their thing they're fixing, whether it's a clock or a guitar. Yeah.
So tooling, I mean, so so what I've seen is you've got bookbinders, and you've got probably people that work on old clocks, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Some of the tools are going to be like pretty similar. I mean, there's probably one bandsaw in there,
You got it.
services everybody, but
Yeah.
you've got to have like a bunch of everybody's got to have their specialty tools. Did they spend like several $1 million just on getting everybody tooled up to do this, or do you bring your own? Or
I'd love that. I wish they would, because I wouldn't have to load up my van and up to the hilt, So I got they got the big stuff. They got your bandsaws, they got your routers, they got all this sorted. And because all of us will have our speciality tools, whether you're a bookbinder or you're a clockmaker. There's a guy called Steve Fletcher who's the horologist, the clockmaker, and he's third generation clockmaker through his family. And he's really quite a famous guy now. He couldn't walk down the street without somebody patting him on the back and saying, "You're really clever. We love the show," And his tools are so different than ours, and I don't know. You look at a bridge pad heating iron from Stumac, for example. No one else will probably have any use for that. It's esoteric. It's just for us. And they've all got their own tools, and it's so interesting being around these people, because we've all been chosen. We're all like lucky ones that were chosen by the casters, whether it's for our apparent charisma or personalities, I don't know. But I tell you what, the whole thing of it is, you try fixing, I don't know, whatever it is you're doing. I mean, everyone's there now tinkering away, doing their thing, and as soon as you got 6 cameras on you, and you're thinking, great, I can just crack on, and let's take this 11 screws out of this strap pick guard. Okay, here we go. So you're undoing the first screw. Whoa, wait, don't do that. Don't do that yet. And you're
Don't
like,
do it. Yeah.
well, we want to see that on camera. Just wait. So put the screwdriver in the screw, and so you put the screw, then they're going to focus, right? And now you're starting to think this is going to take ages. And like, okay, we can see that first screw coming out. So can you unscrew it slower? No, okay. So yeah, and
Can you do it more? What's my motivation here? You know, what's
it's just basically it's such a great thing to be on, but
can I?
it's go on.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about the project selection process. It sounds terrifying for you not to be involved in it, because I can imagine the story could be more intriguing than the repair project is plausible.
You're
Like
right.
like like we can all paint a turd, like it's no problem, but like I mean some things are just done, and even if it's got a great story, there's no, you can't get there from here. Does that ever
Yeah,
happen to you? Do they ever present you with something that's like, here's an old guitar, it's like three strings or attached to a 2x4, and they're like, can you fix
yeah,
this?
exactly. I mean, they love seeing the experts out of their comfort zones.
Uh-huh.
We've all got where we are because we've got really good at covering up our mistakes.
Yes, sir.
Everyone's got to admit it. We've all done it.
Uh-huh.
No, I've got to cover that. I've got to do it. Whatever. I've got to replace this. That's fine, replacing. But but when you're there, you're under the cosh, man, and they want to see you out your comfort zone. And if something goes wrong and you're stressed, the camera guys and the directors and producers, they absolutely love it. And you're
I
like,
love that, huh?
can you all piss off and just leave me for 10 minutes?
that thing that we're trying to avoid our entire careers, like that's the grist for their mill, huh? All right.
Yeah, and you're under the scrutiny of that. And unfortunately, as we probably all know, guitar forums can be interesting places. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, and the guys that have never actually even, I don't know, repaired a guitar maybe, but they think they're the best in their own head. And at 2 a.m, after a couple of glasses of whiskey, they turn into the keyboard warrior. And I've been really called some bad things, and that guy, we had one where we had a really nice national. What's the old finish? Duco finish. What was the
yeah.
So I cleaned this thing up just to get the surface dirt off it, and it came up nice, and it hadn't been strung up for 50 years, and it was in such good nick, and it was just things were a bit loose and the frets were worn, and so I did a refret and whatever I did, and the contributor, the guy that brought it in, it was his friend's guitar and he had died, so that was the story. So the memories of him came back when we fixed it and he played it. But the next day on the forums, it was what a biggest misdiagnosis. That obviously needs the neck reset. That guy shouldn't be he should only be fixing college kids' guitars. And I was like, oh, well, you went there. It wasn't strung up for 50 years. The neck was in perfect pitch. Like, yeah, so, I mean, you see that stuff and you're not in control of it, and you're going to have to deal with that if you want to be on the telly. And you're not in control of it. You just got to learn to take it on the chin and move on.
Yeah, that I don't know what to say about forums. They're we have one, and we're gonna try to do things differently on ours.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I just like all of that kind of stuff can just go away. Especially like, I don't know, man. Other luthiers, they're just such Monday morning quarterbacks. Like they see, they see you take a putt, and then they're like, once they know how the green is going, they're like experts on how to make the second putt. Ugh.
Yeah. Even if you screw the lid incorrectly, someone will pull you up on it.
Yeah. That could just be the internet, though. I mean, you can't. Do you find yourself on forums much to kind of absorb that, or is it inescapable? Like,
I don't look.
Yeah. What is one of your friends like send you this? You should see what this guy's saying about you on the internet.
Yeah. I had that on the one post of that actual national, and and it was some chap who, so we're encouraged on social media to, when our programs are aired,
Mhm.
to say things like the cliche things of, wasn't it nice to see David's face when he was handed back his guitar,
Mhm.
and he sat down and he strummed and he played the song that his late friend used to play, and everyone got emotional, yeah, it was. But we're encouraged to say that. So, and then some chap took it upon himself to send me a link to the forum where they were slagging me off.
Uh-huh.
So I call it peeing on your fireworks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, why? My wife says, well, what, you're not in control of that. Why worry about
No,
that? That
no.
shit, you can't, and be classy. Don't even retaliate. If somebody says you've done something wrong, if you know you've done something wrong, you put your hands up.
Uh,
But when you know what you've done is right, or you did it to your best, but yeah, people may have done it differently. It doesn't mean to say they're right or wrong, or I was,
yeah.
and that's why we all learn on here and all through the years. I got to say, Mr. Earlywine, it's so good to see you, sir.
Hold on a
Lovely.
second. Is he there? Dan, you
Yeah,
hear
I can.
all this? You ever seen the repair shop, Dan?
What?
Have you seen this TV show that Julian's on, The Repair Shop? It was on Netflix here in the States for a minute, and then it was gone.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
I'll find it. Do you know what we're talking about though, Dan?
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay. It's a TV show, and they have different repair people in it. Julian's the guitar repair guy, and they've got like a guy that does clocks, and they got a person that does books and different things. But it's just about repairing old things.
This is
And
in the UK, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to, can we get it over here?
I think that we can find snippets of it on YouTube. I'll see if we can find something.
I've got a few. I got all my episodes are on a Google Drive, which I'm allowed to share, so I could always bung
Okay.
you guys that, because I
Yeah.
think it's quite to log into our BBC iPlayer, as it's called here. You have to have a UK TV license, so it's like, not unless you've got a VPN, I guess. You can
Yeah.
stuff it out.
Yeah.
But
We have BBC over here, but it's different, right?
Yeah. BBC America. BBC
yeah,
America, and it is different. It may be on there. I don't know.
okay, yeah. Just do a search. But I know it's on Netflix. I was on from series 5 onwards, and they did have another guy on before. He only did a couple of items, and he somehow disappeared. And I won't say why, but I've been involved there 4 years. I've done 22 items now, so I've got 22 shows on one, and
Oh
all
my
on
God.
prime time. I walk down the street now, and somebody says my name, and they recognise me. I go on
Uh-huh.
holiday to Spain, and people come up to me and have a selfie and this stuff, and I'm like, this is weird. I just fix guitars, man. I just
Uh-huh. Is it good, or is it weird? Like I always, everybody thinks like, wouldn't that be great? And then is the reality of it great? Or is it like, does it become a drag?
I think it doesn't happen an awful lot, which is good, obviously. And
Okay.
people where you're from in your hometown all know anyway, and they've known you for years. They're not going to come up to you. They may say, God, well done you. That's really lucky. Or congratulations, you deserve it. Or wow, who knew? Or things like that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's just, you just go
And
with
then
it.
and then some of them send you the the posts from the internet where you're getting dragged.
Where
You think
somebody,
you're cool, huh? You think you're too big, huh? All right.
oh, I'm going to tell you how cool you are.
I got friends that would do that to me if for some reason I got famous. Like they would totally help me out with making sure I didn't get too big for my britches.
Yeah,
So
you got to keep those feet on the floor.
yeah, you
Yeah.
do. You do indeed. Should we take anything else to say about the TV show? I think we covered that. I kind of want to look around your shop though.
That's all good. You want to have a look around?
Yeah, let's take a look around.
Oh, I'll just say, actually, Dan, I don't think, maybe you do remember, or I don't know, but it's from, what year was this? Yeah, probably about 25 years ago. And I remember asking you, I think I emailed, it's when I first had a computer and the internet, and I asked you a question about, I forgot what it was, but it was to do with a Louis Panormo acoustic guitar, which is one of the UK's famous early 19th century guitar makers, little parlor guitars. And I remember, Dan, you emailed me back on Christmas Day, and that was a big one. And I was like, oh, wow, Dan only one emailed me back on Christmas Day. I never forgotten them. So
Dan, do you remember this email?
I remember the name Palermo.
yeah, Panormo.
How do you
Louis,
spell
Panormo, Panormo.
Panormo?
Yeah, Louis or Louis. So he was a Italian, son of an Italian violin maker, I think, and he moved to London in the 1830s to late 20s. And so they fetch big prices now of the ones that are left, and they have a very distinctive headstock, very curved top, and Baker's style tuners, absolutely gorgeous instruments. I just love them. And I've actually restored. I've been lucky to restore 2 in my 30 odd years of doing this stuff. And yeah. So it was a beautiful guitar. But anyway, enough of my yakking. Should we have a look around?
Yeah, let's take a look. Can you do me a favor? Yeah, you got the camera switch. Can you turn it sideways so that it's in yeah, there we go.
You guys got that?
Yep, we're good.
Good.
So
Here we
there's
go.
a computer. And
Point of sale. That's where everything ends.
oh yeah.
The
So
card
is this
machine. So here we go. So okay, my workshop is a first floor workshop separate from my house, half a mile away. It's around 6 meters square. This is the front door, and we walk in, and just a little string wall there.
yeah.
I've got more belt sanders and bobbin sanders, and you can shake a stick at. And here's my little storeroom, cum spray room.
Yeah.
There's one of my little
Oh, look at this.
Yeah,
You got a spray stick there.
Yeah, little spray stick that bolts down to my bench there, and so I can twirl that around, and it moves all the way around. And then I have that thing is my little extractor.
Yeah.
That'll blow outside. I've got to keep it down because it's getting winter here now. It's cold, so the air comes in. I don't want it cold. But yeah, so there we go. We got lots of potions and all sorts of
you got your ointments and a lot of trans tint there.
things you guys will know. Somebody just gave me a whole box of wire. Look at that whole box of wire. It's gonna last me all my years. Yeah, so that's that. I got a few bits of stock here of all sorts of woods, and there's my bindings. And I've just been Becky, she's the violin expert on the repair shop. She's just given me this old piano someone dismantled, which is all solid mahogany. So that's that's nice to have, eh?
Yeah.
So all sorts of stuff: fingerboards, slotted, unslotted, veneers, neck blocks, end blocks, more veneers, some spruce for struts and stuff. This has probably all come from Steamout, by the way.
Yeah.
And obviously many of these things you guys are going to recognize.
Yeah. Got the binding routing jig happening there.
Yeah, that's the Badger. Yeah, we got that. And my compressors all hidden down there. That's all these are the tool racks and stuff that I take when I go film, and they'll all get loaded up with whatever I need to drive for 6 hours.
How many square feet? So how do you deal with customers when they come in? Do they just come right into that front area there? And
yeah, they come right on in, and I encourage them to come in and watch the setup being done while they wait. I like to explain to them what I'm doing as I go. And yeah, they come in.
Do you have anybody bringing you stuff just to meet the famous guy, or is that not happening?
It does happen. It does happen at least a couple of times a week, and they're usually the older generation. They've just found something that's been in their loft so many years, shriveled up.
I've got this old guitar.
Yeah, can you fix this?
Here in the States, it was my grandfather's, and he brought it over on the Mayflower.
Yes, that's what it would be. Now the Mayflower sailed from Plymouth, yeah. And Plymouth is 79 miles away from here, and I lived there for a couple of years, so I know all about the Mayflower and the Pilgrim Fathers. So yeah, that's the important stuff.
So we got the tea area.
Yeah, we need this every now and then.
It looks like you have a
And
lot of different ways to heat tea. You've got a hot plate and then
oh
also
yeah,
a hot
that's the
kettle.
coffee there. That's the coffee mug. But we
Uh-huh.
just got a little shop opened about 20 yards away that does nice coffee, so I don't have to make that. And ironically, I have
Yeah.
no running water here.
Uh-huh.
We have electricity, but we only had the wheel invented a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And then you're using it to generate electricity
There's my
immediately, I
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah. There's me water.
Wait a
Yeah, so
sec. Were
that's
those pepperoncinis there? What was the jar of
this olives. I
olives?
love my
Okay.
olives
So
and a
you're having
quiet taste.
a martini at lunch, or
Oh yeah, I never do that. Never drink in the day.
me neither.
And
Even when I was drinking, I didn't drink during the day.
that's it. Oh, there's me teaching many a year ago. That's 13 years ago in
Uh-huh.
one of the schools, and there's my CCTV just to keep an eye on who's coming in and out.
Uh-huh.
There's a this week coming up the crosses of someone who's booked in, and the empty gaps are yes, I can crack on with 2 neck resets and a spray job. So I won't be booking anyone in for the first couple of days. And radial arm saw, which I bought for an absolute song. I've hardly ever used it, but it's
Yeah.
there one day.
That's one that you can chuck a router bit in that one, right? Does that get
Yeah, I
the
think so. And then
use it
you can turn it. You can turn it so it rips
yeah.
as well. Uh, and then they've got the big old drill press there, which comes out. You've got the old wheel there, and it extends, so I can really, drill into a body, nice and square. What we got? We got a heating iron. We've got a little buffing wheel, which is
What
I like to use that one for the old get the bone nuts and saddles nice and polished. And I found the old metal polish works lovely
yeah,
with that.
absolutely.
Decent drill bits. This one is fantastic. This little Bosch. So you can
What's
set.
happening there?
So this is just a drill press, and yeah, so electronic. You've got the variable speed.
Yeah.
Very good. And you also got nice laser. Work right, you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really good little bit of kit. It really sort of drills down perfectly square. And that's got me out of a tight spot. Ultrasonic bath. So sometimes I may I may put parts of anything in there, maybe a tune-o-matic bridge or a tuner or
Hmm.
something or other, and that will get a lot of crud off and yuck that we don't want. Storage of nuts, saddles, old things, routing templates, stick-it sandpapers.
Got that new StewMac tape dispenser too, I see.
Got this, yeah, cut my fingers on that many a time.
That's what everybody says. They're like, the thing's too sharp. Oh, you've got the Jaws 3 too.
Oh man, yeah, I've got all the jaws. Yeah, I got all of these
People are
boys.
missing that one for some reason. Do you enjoy that one? Do you like the
I sort of never got on with it. I always found
okay.
it a bit too hard to use, especially if you've got, I don't know, a dry old board and narrow slots. It's really hard,
Yeah.
just pressing stuff in. But yeah. What else have I got? My goodness me. Yeah, so I got the little tiny one.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Couldn't do without that. I put that on my own plate. Actually, I just made a nice steel.
What's your split on workload, acoustic and electric? Are you
It's probably 60% acoustic. I bet.
yeah.
I reckon it's more acoustic. So I forgot here. I got some really cheap thing, but it was special because the lady's daughter played it on a TV show apparently, and
Okay.
somebody broke in and smashed it up. It's a bit
Yeah.
strange.
Looks like the handle fell off that one.
Yeah, the wheels fell off. So
That's a
then we got
nice looking grinder. Ooh.
yeah, it's good especially for Al Carruth's scraper.
Look
That's
at
a
that.
nice big bed to get that
Yeah.
nice and sharpened again. And then I think we've got another grinder down there. Then we've got more jaws.
Mm-hmm.
some
Mhm.
hacksaws, some more radius, some little tiny clamps.
Got your Destaker clamps up there.
Oh wait, here's something to scare off the children. There's me
What's
in
going on
19.
there?
Oh,
It looks like
bloody hell!
it looks like you're playing in you remember that band Tesla? It's
Yeah, I
got
thought
kind
I
of
was
like a
John Bon. Yeah, I thought I was Bon Jovi. Like I've got
well,
lycra tights under my ripped jeans. Isn't that just terrible?
no, I think that's coming back in a big way, dude. Like,
Mate, it's part of my life I want to forget.
oh, it's good. Dude, I bet you were having a blast. You look like you're having a blast, right?
Oh, it was great. I was 20 years old there. So that's
Uh-huh.
35 years ago.
Yeah. Looks like
Yeah.
things are working pretty well for Julian right there.
Well, it was going, that's the beginning. That was the beginning just as I was getting into
Uh-huh.
this stuff. And yeah, what we've got some Japanese rasps there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we got lots of the clamps, we got
Ooh.
the Sandow stuff. And we got the gauge. We've got some more CCTV. We have lots of these. This is the shelf that I sort of hardly ever use.
Mm-hmm.
Shelf. It's there for tools. Like I use that once in a while. It's going to be hence these little guys. Who remembers those?
What for bridge plates, yeah.
Yeah, the push and the pull. Beautiful things.
Young people, you need to be careful with those.
Yeah, they're sharp. But you've got to learn how to sharpen them too.
The I was gonna say there was something brass over there that I wanted to investigate
Something.
on the very end, far to the right. Keep going to the
Oh,
right.
here.
Yeah, what's that? Is that it's a peg shaper.
Yeah, it's a violin peg shaper. So occasionally I'll get the odd banjo or old fashioned peg head, which has got the old wooden peg, so I can always shape them on that.
Uh-huh.
And so this is what I call my recovery bench. That's not recovering. That's in the waiting room, obviously.
Uh-huh.
But here's one of my three. So I've got my old
Oh, you got it
ultravice.
mounted low too.
Yeah, well, this will be belly button height for me.
Yes, sir.
And I find belly button height a good height for my workbenches. And I got the shop stands there with another one mounted.
You doing belly button to save your back from
Yeah,
getting
save my
destroyed?
back.
Yeah, belly button for
So
me as
many
well.
times I've put my back. I've had a bad back for years from the building days. So yeah, so there's a recovery bench as well from different views, some Sanders and there's the Shergold Masquerader.
That's a nice looking thing.
Yeah, that's the one that's hanging up.
Is that for sale then? What's
That's for sale for 645 English pounds, my friend.
uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
it was going for less than that. But we've got lots of router bits here. These things, step dual bits. I've fallen in love with these the last year or two. So these
You know,
things are great.
I need to get on board with these. They've been around forever, and I don't know why, but I never got into them, but I've seen everybody using them to great
Oh, I tell
use.
you what. So if you're you want to remount your 12.5 mil hole for putting in an M pin
Uh-huh.
in an acoustic, and if you can just start off slow and you'll just go in step by step. So where does
Uh-huh.
it say here? 4, 6, 8, 10. I'll get to 12 millimeters, and I'll have the bottom of a milk carton cut off, which will fit in a sound hole, and then I pop down one side so it flaps down like a roll on off ferry. When the old ramp drops
Uh-huh.
down for the cars to drive on. So I'll have a milk carton thing, and I'll put that inside. And then when I drilling, all the dust falls in that milk carton, and then I can just lift it through the sand hole and vacuum it out.
Very
And then
cool.
I can do the final reaming, and there's no splintering inside. It's a real nice, neat job. I love my routers. I've got a cheap Black and Decker thing. You guys call these what do you call them again? Colt.
Yeah, the Colt.
Yeah. So I got a couple of those. The Bosch. We have Bosch. Bosch Blue in the UK is the best ones. The Bosch Green are the sort of cheaper, sort of craft
Mhm.
ones.
I don't even think we got the green ones over here, but
Yeah, they're all lovely though. But the bushings on one of them yeah, the bushes just want to come out on that one.
Huh.
It's just loose. It just won't tighten up. So, but another little pillar drill for small jobs. Tiny little Proxon table
Oh
saw.
yeah.
Fantastic with tiny little bits. And also a little this is great for making cleats when you want to get the 30-degree angle.
Hmm.
And for making cleats, really nice. An old scroll saw I hardly use, a buffing wheel I hardly use. I've got Stumax buffing wheel set there, which I take outside. I've got a big lathe, which I've yet to use. I bought off a friend and it was a bargain price. So one day I'll use that. And this thing is absolutely fantastic. It's a book
Yeah.
press. And for clamping veneers and things, this book press was £70, and it was in a charity shop here, and I had to have it. And it's so heavy.
On,
It
on,
comes to me
on the
1800.
on the show, do you ever see somebody use it? I mean, do you intermingle with the other people on there? Do you ever see them using tools and you're like, hey, I bet that'd work great for doing yada yada
Yeah,
yada on.
exactly. And there's always somebody asking, have you got, so Stumax screw extractor pliers?
Yes.
So, for instance, whenever I'm at the repair shop, everyone wants to borrow those because obviously that's transferable. I said, no, go and buy your own,
There you go.
or make your own. Right, there's the dog bed for when my dog Bella comes.
Uh-huh.
Nice big bandsaw. That's great for ripping and your general stuff. And a Jet 1632 Plus for drum sanding.
Mhm.
Beautiful for thickness in, attached to a little craft quality extractor, which goes up and feeds actually the workbench. So if I'm here, I've got a jig that I made. No, that's over in the corner. I can't show you. For routing splines in headstocks, I'll have a big piece of MDF here, and it's got 2x2 underneath, clamped in there. And then I got the board, and I've got 2 pieces of oak either side of the head, and I can slide the headstock in once I've glued it on. Then I can sit my router on top in a jig and just cut 2 splines perfectly down. And then that bad boy will be the suction. I can just put that over here. I can tie it up. I've got some rope down. How bad is this? It's like an old piece of dowel serving purpose to hold rope, to hold up an extraction hose.
Oh, that's great.
A spline job. And then here's some of the workload. So we've got, just like anyone's got, I guess we've got the explanatory. This is the inside of the car on the wall. Do you want to hear the story on that?
Yeah.
So Justin brings his guitar in. This is about 10 years ago, looking like that, and he had the back in his other hand.
Uh-huh.
And he says, "Anything you can do with this?" I said, "Well, yeah, but it's very messy. It's not really worth it. It's a cheap guitar." And I said, "What happened?" He said, "My wife smashed it over my head."
Yeah.
He had an affair.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have an affair, ladies and gentlemen. You get caught.
Yeah. How was his head?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's never been right since.
Oh, okay.
We've got lots of instruments here. A lot of those are mine there in the corner because I currently live in a static caravan because I'm going to be building a house soon. So there's no room in the house we moved from. But there's a couple of guitars I've made. I've yet to get the next set. And yeah, so there's a bit of workload.
Is your house going to have a new shop attached, or is this?
So the big plans. We're going to have a new workshop, which is going to be 18 meters long and 8.5 wide, so 3 times the size of this thing. And I'm going to have all my big, machinery. So I've got this Powermatic.
Yeah.
I just love the sound of this. This is just so good.
I like the color of it too. That Powermatic mustard yellow, boy, it really just lets everybody know who's boss,
Yeah, that means business. And
a
decent little extractor for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Some cool headstock gluing jigs I've made there. What have we got? We got lots of books, so that's pretty much what's in my brain came from there and the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some jigs, we've got the saddle slot rating, we've got the neck set, we've got my planes and chisels and
Mm-hmm.
stock of single strings in there. We got some fret templates. So this is all my few of my clamps are up here. Lots of fret wire, all the Stumac stuff. So another jig. I mean, this is a fantastic little jig. This one, I copied this off one of you guys. I don't know who it was, but it's brilliant. Helps keep a separated head in place to the neck when you're gluing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's my little steamer. The green thing is somebody's mop from a local kitchen that kept breaking, and they said this would be handy for you to do neck resets, although I now got the heat stick. So Dunlop fret wire, I think that's the Dunlop stuff there. Some offcuts. My aprons. I don't have Fordham. I've never bought a Fordham, and I want one, but I have got 3 Dremels. I've got that one there just mounted in front of my main bench for polishing frets.
Mm-hmm.
So my little string winder, invested in the Benedetto head. That's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
Very pricey, but boy, is it good, especially when you want to put something on the side. So what I've got here, I got all of my Stumac-y stuff, really. So anything from the nut spacing file to the rulers and the fret slot and the equations and all the other things I need: abrasive cords, truss rods, Allen key spanners, and Tamiya tape. You guys are familiar with Tamiya tape, the Japanese model makers tape?
Not at all. You want to tell us about it?
This is so good for when you're fretting, because you've got 3 different widths: 18 mil on the left, then 10 mil, then 6 mil, and they just don't waste so much tape when masking up for a fret dress or a refret, you know.
Cool.
So it's nice to have all that. I got a nice guild, and this came in for a neck reset. This was unbelievable. It popped out. I hardly had to do anything. I loosened the tongue, and I thought I'm just going to heat it with a hairdryer, just gently around here, and the neck just popped out, and it was full of cardboard. Full of cardboard.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I've forgotten which one it is, but it's upside down. I don't know what that says, but I have these are great little things for keeping all my stuff together. I use lots of these cotton bud dental type thing. I've used these for years.
Mm-hmm. You got your bridge pin cribbage board there?
Oh yeah, you like the cribbage board? Yeah. So there's a bit all numbered. So hence only on the guild number 3. So I know that's well, they're in here now. She's settling up, but they are in number 3 there, so I don't mix up the pins.
Yeah.
And I've just got into Glue Boost, which is pretty good stuff. We've got lots of Stumac fret files here. We've got lots of Stumac stuff. My favourite file of all time is the Cancel. Couldn't do without that one.
So you're a cant saw guy, not a fret file guy. Or it looks like you have some fret files there too.
Yeah, well, I'll do both. And well, I was saying on the repair shop on the show that this will sound funny to you guys, but I'm guessing you'll all get it straight away. And I don't know whether we've talked about this before. I've not heard anyone talk of it, but I always say fretting, if you're good with both hands, because I'm left-handed at writing, and I can crown a fret with my left or my right hand, backhand or forehand, so I can pay attention to each side of a fret with either hand. And it's like playing tennis. You're either left-handed with a backhand and a forearm, form or back, or the other hand. So I guess it's something we all do. We just don't realize we do, that we can fret with both hands. And perhaps I'm not the only one, but I'm guessing it's what else we got? This is just my go-to. I love my old Stumac screwdriver set. It's absolutely tired out. Is all.
That's one of the old ones, isn't it?
That's one of the old boys. Yeah. And
Got a micron pen there.
yeah, these what are these called? Katugas. Pure togas. Yeah, just a lovely precision pencil. And then we got all this stuff and lots of chemicals and you name it, lots of your wipe on poly or your tea cut, your burnishing cream, your naphtha, your everyday polish, your special polishes. This stuff's fantastic.
What is that?
Pro Store, that's so good for getting out bloom and haze, like burnishing cream would. So you got an old Gibson or a Guild or whatever, and it's got a lot of haze and bloom or dirt ingrained. That just whips it off absolutely amazingly well. And the other one that's really good is this stuff, Super Nico. The instrument cleaner and polish is absolutely amazing.
Hold on a second. Dan Earlywine, are you there? You know about Super Nico?
No, but it looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I use quite a lot of it. It's from a company here in the UK called Beer and Son.
Oh, it's a violin.
Put that on the chat.
Yeah. Violin specialist.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up later. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, Super Nico, and they also do the cleaning solution. And so restoring antique furniture and violins. So there we go. Lots of I think it's turpentine and that terps, yeah. But between those two and the Pro Restore, which that's a sample I got from the guy, again, violin, but I mean it's lacquered or shellacked, polished French polished surfaces, just brings them up so well. And obviously Liberon's burnishing creams, so good as well.
What is a burnishing cream? I've never heard of that before.
Never heard of the burnishing cream. So exactly the same thing, cleans and revives highly polished surfaces. So again, anything like it's got a bloom in it, it's got a haze. It's absolutely brilliant stuff. Like it says there, French polishes, lacquers, varnishes. And
cool.
use it with a nice clean microfiber cloth and then buff it with this clean part. And 9 times out of 10, it comes up good. Doesn't leave any scratches. It's not as abrasive as a teacup. What you'd polish your car with or polish out a chip. So I'm a big fan of ice cube trays. So if I'm fret dressing, I've got my rarely used 120 grit all cut into little squares. Then I got my 240 all the way up to 3000 grit to do some fret polishing, and then I'll do some 4.0 grade Liberon wire wall, and then the Dremel with the polished compound. And frets always come up nice and gleaming. Don't ask me why, but a late friend of mine, he died 3 years ago. His mum asked me to sell his stuff, and he had a Katy Perry plectrum collection. So and I got some of your currency there, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's great. That's a tradition in the United States to put up your first dollar. I don't know.
Yeah. I better send it back. But old stuff, I think I got lots of old. So yeah, we've done 1 or 2 refrets at the Guitar Doctor's workshop. And a bit of a soldering station. Quite a cheap one. This is something cool. I got this delivered from Amazon on Friday with this really cute, tiny little UV lamp.
Really?
That's fantastic.
Is this with the idea of doing the nut thing?
Yeah.
Or?
I just tried it. As you can see, it works perfectly.
How are you feeling about it for filling nut slots?
There we go. Yeah. And I put some on some scrap wood, and it dried within about a minute. Where's that piece of scrap wood? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I put that blob. I put that blob from the old this chap on there, and I chucked it underneath there, and then went about and cleaned the workshop off. On Fridays, I always hoover up, get my workshop nice and clean, make sure I'm set for Monday morning. And my back was turned 5 minutes, and it was like, wow, it's rock hard. And then I had an old nut and I put it in there, and I filed it down with my old trusty nut files. And I thought it's really, really hard. So I'm just going to give it a go. Whether I'll use it on expensive instruments, I don't know, but it may get me out of a tight spot.
Yeah.
What else we got? So these, remember Stumac used to sell these?
Yep.
And they're so expensive now. I can't get them. I've had them probably 10, 15 years. I think I'm halfway in each pot.
Yeah.
But I want more. I liked having stock, you know. So there's a bit of a soldering stuff, lots of heat shrink.
What are you using for sharpening stones for your chisels and stuff?
Well, actually, I've just had it sent back, but I bought one of the whetstone wheels, and it sort of lived down there. And so I just learned to polish my chisels, sharpen rather, with that thing. But it did go wrong, so they're actually replacing it. But I got into the diamond stones.
Mm-hmm.
See some there. And I really like the Veritas honing guide.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whoops, that chap there, quite an accurate thing.
Yeah.
Here's one of my favorite tools. You guys will love this. Hold on. Again, this is Veritas. So there's your low angle block plane.
Look at this. Ooh.
That's about 45 English pounds, and they are absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really good crafted.
Oh
Although
God,
that
that looks
screw,
cool.
you over tighten that screw, and sometimes it mashes it. So that's the second one I've had in 20 years. But that is really good. And they also do they do lots of miniature ones, and they're not gimmicks. They do the miniature chisel set, which is absolutely amazing. Those things are very good. Although I do prefer, I think, I have to hop around the light. I still like my micro chisels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The ones on the left are part of rubbish, but these things are great. So sharpening them. And I've just purchased the fret bar the first time, so that'll get me out of a tight spot. And you can spot the fret tang nippers. 1, 2, 3.
Uh-huh. Oh, and you get the new one too, yeah. Do those
5.
old Klein ones, do they see any operation anymore? Do you use the old StewMac ones, or does the new one completely dominate?
It's funny. I think the new one's dominating. Although sometimes you'll get some fret wire that will just chew up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter which one you use, you just have to do it the old-fashioned way. But and then the next piece, the next fret you've cut, you put it back on and try again, and it works perfectly. So it could be user error.
Yeah.
But yeah. And there's
what's your head up there?
Yeah, the head. Well, that's me. That's my late father crafted my head. I don't know quite why. But out of terracotta. When I was 21, so do the maths and that's 31 years ago. But unfortunately, he got the huge nose correct.
Yeah, no, that's. I bet that's. How did you feel about that at the time? Were you?
I didn't realize my nose was that big, but I quickly went, Dad, you're very clever. That was that. Yeah. So what have we got here? Yeah, I think that's probably This is something. This is quite cool. Let's see what that says.
Please store and carry flat to prevent spillage. Yeah.
So when I go filming at the repair shop, and all of these things are kept in my car, flat, horizontal like that, and then there's lots of runners on the show, and I'll phone ahead to say, guys, I'm 5 minutes away, and I turn up, and I may have a load of gear they got to unload. It takes like 10 minutes to unload.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll send 3 runners out, and they'll just empty my car and take it to my bench and almost set it up for me, and they know where everything goes. It's quite sad. And what do? They lift them up, and all the chemicals that may leak do. So let me just put the phone down one sec. So these are there we go, lift up lids. So in the ultimate quest of using different things and extending your knowledge into what am I going to use to color something or fill something, or all sorts of fill sticks and melted shellac irons and pallets and graining heads. Mr. German. Not quite happy with them because they're a lot of money and the tips aren't fine enough to properly
Oh
touch up
boy.
grain. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
you've cut something and you just want to dot in the grain before you do an additional sealer coat, and looks like you're a kid drawing felt tip pens.
So you are using shellac burning sticks.
I use them. These are different ones. These are like crayons, which are fantastic for filling in just little holes here and there. So many colours. I just spent stupid amounts of money on, getting things. Just experimenting. Everything like we all do. We experiment with colours all the time. Then we'll keep a colour because that was good for one guitar, and then you'll probably find you never ever use it again.
Mm-hmm.
So in here, there's all sorts of shellacs, very fine tip brushes for painting things on. Some black stains, some fill sticks. The old Mohawk.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Is it hard to get Mohawk there, or is it relatively easy?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. We have to pay through the nose. We got Libron, shellac filler sticks.
Yeah.
I think they cost me probably around 70 odd pounds, and probably those as well.
Ooh.
But the good thing on the repair shop is I say, guys, I need this, and they get it sent there the next day and they pay for it.
Fantastic.
Then I take it home.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You liberate it. I think it's liberating.
Yes, that's a good word, Ian. And this stuff, you see, you guys are familiar with Glue Boost.
Yeah.
Have you tried this tape yet?
I did a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I did it on a touch up there a few weeks ago, and I thought it was really good. I like the fact you can reuse it. So I don't know why we need a massive roll, but if you can reuse it, you won't need a lot. But anyway, it works, and it wasn't a rip-off, and nothing sanded through it. So it did exactly what it said. So it's and sharp knives, all sorts of spatulas. So that's my go-to bridge or tongue loosener on a fretboard. Little spatula, heated up. It's one of my go-tos, and then I love these palette knives. So good for gluing braces and all of these guys all along here. And then I got the Stumac ones over on the ones that I rarely use. You may have seen them earlier. I think I got the set there of the big ones. So yeah, I think that's the the workshop tour.
That's a good tour right there.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay. A lot. I'm always impressed. I mean, we've got a mess of guys from the UK that are doing amazing work in small spaces, and it's always impressive to see. Here in the States, I think we get too used to the idea of having just large spaces to do everything. I personally don't. I have a very small space as well.
Right.
So it's always good to see how people deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, should we see if anybody's got any questions? Or do you got to get going? Are you getting?
I'm good. I got another 20 minutes, I reckon.
The people here, I usually have to cajole them into asking a question. So, but we'll open it up. Anybody? Any questions? Nick, you look like you're trying to unmute to ask a question.
Actually, I wasn't, but you know what impresses me there is doing that walk around. I don't understand how all of that fit in your shop. Like I know.
I feel like we looked at 10 different rooms there. You just kept turning around.
Are we in the same? Like, are we in the same time zone of your shop? Because it was like you took us out of your shop. I saw the front, and then it was like now it's just all tools. Like how it's all in there.
It's somehow crammed in, mate. Yeah,
amazing
place for everything and everything in its place, as we say, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot of it is just wall storage, And if you've got a shelf, if you've got your workbench, obviously you can put, how many shelves can you put underneath that? Or, and if you've got, I like to have workbenches all on the periphery, all the way around, well, basically in a C shape. And they've got the island, which I used to walk around until all the big tools filled it. Now
Love my island. Absolutely love my island.
yeah, got to have an island.
Yes.
And in my new workshop, when that is built, which is hopefully around a couple of years away, I want to have I may have like an island that I'm inside, you know. So it's, but I mean, whether I have like a revolving tool bench,
You're
you know
gonna
what I mean?
you're gonna have a train set that goes around you too. You're gonna go from underneath while you're working.
Yeah, do that. We can do that. And you have stuff hanging up, and you don't want stuff hanging up that's going to fall on a 1935 D18, and you're not going to make someone very happy.
No.
So it's yeah, but the new workshop is starting to, in my head, design it, because it's going to be a big old space, and the only reason it's big is because it was, you know, if you build something, you've got to have plan and permission to build that place. And my late mother-in-law, she passed 9 years, more than 9 years ago, and she had plans for this workshop to be built, because above it was where she would have worked as a yoga teacher, and my wife teaches yoga too. And we'll be building a new house which is next to the workshops. It's one building. So those plans were passed in 2008, and I met her daughter the next year, and then we've now been together 14 years. So it's incredibly exciting, because not only is this one too small, I've grown out of it, but my landlord is selling it. And I'm like, no, you can't sell. So where I am is a tiny little back lane in a little British village, and there's lots of tiny little garages that should, you know, the mini car we have in the UK, the little mini. These garages would probably just fit a mini in them, so no modern car could fit in these garages. So he's had enough, and he's selling about 10 of them in these, my workshop and the one below. So I'm just hoping no one buys it for a couple of years, so I can buy the time, because by then we'll be building half a mile up the road where I live, and then I'll have a big workshop, and you're all invited to come over and christen it and have a party.
Yeah,
Lovely. I'm down with
absolutely.
that. Thank you for that. It's great.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Evan Gluck, anybody? Evan? Evan?
You were muted that whole time. Could you repeat it? No. No, that's amazing, man. It's really good to see your shop. How are you getting on with you just got the dental light cure thing?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, great. I mean, I only did an experiment on Friday afternoon, eh? It arrived from Amazon in the afternoon, and I just put a blob underneath, and the instructions said cured within 5 to 30 minutes. But I was poking it with a sharp, spiky thing after 3 minutes, and it was rock hard.
What kind of compound are you going to use?
Not a clue. Whatever this stuff is, this is it's is that epoxy? It must be an epoxy of some kind.
They come in different hardnesses, like 40D, 80D. I figured the higher the number. I was experimenting with it myself. I actually haven't put anything on camera.
Yeah.
The 80D, I'm gonna assume is a harder hardness than the 40D. So wherever you order, just look at what the hardness is.
Yeah, the stuff we've got to learn, isn't it? So
Jules, is it clear?
Say again?
Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Do you have any friends? Do you have any friends that are dentists?
It just says 300 grams and nothing on the back whatsoever.
Do you have any friends that are dentists?
Yeah, I do.
Try and get the compound that they use for filling teeth.
It's the white one, right?
Well, it comes in all different shades, so you can match it for different nuts and stuff like that.
Of course.
And, what happens is that stuff gets so hard that if you filled up a nut slot, completely, you would have a hard time actually getting the slot filed again, because that's how hard that stuff gets. So into that, because what you can do is, because we're not real dentists, they have expired stuff that they'll just give you, that they can't use on people.
Good stuff. Yeah, health and safety. Yeah, that's
Cool.
a good tip. That's a good one. Yeah, it's I've seen it and I thought it just popped up on Amazon. I was like, yeah, it's just like 20 quid, 20
Yeah,
pounds.
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
I want to try it.
Yeah.
Any other questions? James Rodman, I see you pop back on. You have any questions?
No questions, but I really enjoyed the shop tour and the interview.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Cool. Glad you liked it.
let's go ahead and have everybody unmute and say thank you so much for hanging out with us and showing us everything and giving us a good glimpse into Guitar Luthen in the UK. I'm always fascinated by how it gets done over there and what those slight differences are and what the abundance of similarities are. But yeah,
And what Ian said.
yeah.
What Ian just said. Yeah.
And
Thank
man,
you.
I've
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
been to the States. I've
Thank
honestly
you.
never been. You're welcome, guys. It's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Julian.
Lovely to see you all. I'd love to come over one day and
Oh yeah.
your shops too.
You come over, we'll make a you hit NYC, we'll make sure we get you out. We just had Jerry Hayes was in the States and I took him up and gave him a little tour Duluth of the New York area, pardon me.
Beautiful.
All right, everybody. The Luthalong is in full effect, and Julian, you're welcome to hang out and hang out with these. Everybody's just working and jibber jabbering, but you're welcome to hang out. I'm gonna dip for a little bit and go get something to eat.
It's nice to see somebody else working for a change. So I take the weekends off and I'm gonna go home and cook my tea, guys. It's now what's the time here? 20 to 6 at night. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go home and get myself a cold beer and cook some food.
Awesome.
Hey,
have a good night.
Thanks again.
You should come
Thanks,
back.